So in today's class, we are going to cover current affairs from the first 2 weeks of August. Suppose if any current affairs are missing in this particular class, and those things will be covered later. Okay, don't get panic. Right. So first and foremost important current affair, that is, in recent weeks, several arms of our polity are expressing the concerns over freebies. Okay, freebies means those are the free schemes, money distribution schemes that are, implemented by the government. And you are observing a common tendency nowadays. The political parties are offering a lot of free schemes to the people to get the immediate attention. Suppose if any political party offers, we will develop the education. We will develop the education. Will it get any attention from the people? No. Suppose if any political party, I am going to distribute 10 lakh rupees for family. What is the impact? So immediate response you will be able to get from the people. So this is what the reason why the political parties are offering the free schemes to the people. Right. So one important thing we must understand. In the Constitution of India, there is one part which talks about the duties of the government. Tell me what is that part? Yes, directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy, which is mentioned in the part 4 of the Constitution. Especially in the DPSP, there is one article, that is Article 41. Article 41. So what does Article 41 talk about? Article 41 says, it is the responsibility of the state to ensure right to education, okay, right to work, and right to public assistance in certain cases. Okay, Article 41 talks about right to education, right to work, and right to public assistance in certain cases. In certain cases means public, this is what the source of the freebies that are implemented by the government. If you ask the government in the Supreme Court, government would answer, we have the power under Article 41 of the Constitution. It is our duty to ensure the public assistance in certain cases. These in certain cases include the disability, sickness, elderly age. There are certain list of reasons that are provided in Article 41 itself. That is point number 1. Point number 2. In the Constitution of India, the Constitution of India offers a justice in 3 forms: social justice, economic justice, and political justice. Definitely, by the implementation of DPSP, government will be able to ensure the social justice and economic justice. Government may say, in the name of Article 39, we are distributing the wealth in the society. Because Article 39, Clause C says, what does it talk about? Distribution of the wealth in the society. There must be requirement of reduction of the inequalities in the society. Inequalities in terms of income as well as the wealth. So because of all these reasons, the political parties are offering the freebies in order to get the immediate attention, and they are justifying their stand by taking the example of the directive principles of state policy. Now, the question has been raised by the judiciary and various agencies. For example, recently we have seen Prime Minister of India had raised the concern. States are unnecessarily offering a lot of free schemes which is impacting the finances of the state. Finances of the states. The Prime Ministers invoked these schemes as revenue culture. It means free culture. Okay? And Reserve Bank of India linked the precarious state of state finances to the freebies. Are you able to understand? States are plunging into debt burden. They are shouldering huge debt burden. You just take the example of Telangana state itself. It has announced a Dalita Bandhu scheme. What is the implication of Dalita Bandhu? Huge financial outgo from the government, but there is a least amount of revenue available for the government. So this kind of situation is creating a huge burden on the state finances. And thirdly, Supreme Court also waded into the debate, recommending creation of an expert body. Actually, recently, the petition was filed in the Supreme Court, seeking the intervention of the judiciary. What is the role of judiciary in the country? What is the role of judiciary? Judiciary ensures the protection of the Constitution, protection of the rights of the people as well as the laws of the land. Right, in that capacity, the response was sought from the Supreme Court, but Supreme Court Chief Justice had declined that particular intervention because it is a matter which falls under the executive and legislature to decide. We don't want to intervene. But at the same time, he has strongly pitched the voice against the freebie schemes. Okay, right. So what is the problem if the free schemes are implemented? Actually, in the present days, the free schemes are implemented in the form of free power, monthly stipend to women. Okay, these kind of promises are made. Especially if you try to see the states like Tamil Nadu, you might see what kind of offers they make to the voters. We will distribute grinders, TVs, televisions, okay, and other laptops, etc. Actually, if you try to classify the goods in terms of economy, goods are of three types. One is public good, merit good, and third one is private good. Public good means government must be giving these goods at the free of cost. For example, law and order, protection, safety. These are all the public goods. And merit goods means the goods like education, health. These are the merit goods. Private goods like, for example, laptops, TV, fridges. First two kinds of things can be given at the free of cost. There is no problem. But the third category of the goods are given to the people at the free of cost. Definitely, it will compromise the financial health of the state. Right? So, the concern is with respect to the third category of the goods. What is the third category of goods? Private goods. Right. So, what is the impact of these schemes? How it is going to impact the country? So, on the revenue side, the impact is seen on the state-owned enterprises, leading to loss-making PSUs. So, if you are not focusing on the development of the PSUs, if you don't focus on the capital development, so if you don't focus on the development of the assets, definitely that will compromise the health of the PSUs. And moreover, recently, if you try to see the distribution companies, actually who distribute the electricity in the country? Distribution companies. These electricity distribution companies are completely under the ownership of the government itself. There is no private sector. There is a complete monopoly of the government over the power distribution companies. And these power distribution companies are running in huge losses. What is the reason for the losses? Reason number one is inefficient distribution of electricity. For every 100 units of electricity distributed, at least 37 units are being lost in the transmission and distribution losses. Point number one. Point number two, many state governments are implementing lot of electricity free electricity schemes. Because of that reason, what happened? Government is letting the distribution companies to distribute the electricity at the free of cost, but at the same time, government is not giving the money back. Are you able to understand? They are asking the PSUs, that is the distribution companies, to distribute the electricity. But after the distribution has done, what the government has to do? It has to pay the money to the distribution company. Just because it is a public sector, government is not giving the money. Because of that reason, what is happening? The distribution companies are under the serious losses. What will happen if the distribution companies are under the serious losses? In future, the electricity sector will not be able to cater the needs of the society. As a society increases the power consumption, what you have to do? You have to increase the capacity of the distribution companies. But unfortunately, if the distribution companies are at the very, very sorry state of affairs, what will happen? The distribution cannot cater the needs of the growing population and growing demands in the society. And one more important thing, low tax collection. So free electricity, free water, free rides, everything will be leading to the realization of no realization of the tax on these items. Okay, so these are the problems at the revenue side. Coming to the political side, competitive manifestos. If one party announces 2 lakh rupees waiver, another party comes and announces 3 lakh rupees waiver. This is a kind of a competitive populism that is not going to help the country. Country needs a solid investment in the human capital. Human capital means it is defined by 3 dimensions. One is health, education, and skill. This must be properly invested. But unfortunately, because of the subverted agendas of the government, due to the populistic competitive politics, that is leading to the increasing number of free schemes. This can even lead to wastage of the resources on frivolous promises. No scheme can be implemented for a continuous basis because year on year, what is happening? The free schemes are increasing. Take the example of Telangana itself. We are implementing Raitu Bandhu scheme, and we are also implementing Dalit Bandhu scheme. We are implementing pensions to lakhs of people. You might have seen recently, 10 lakh more pensions have been sanctioned by the government. So what is happening? So naturally, in the budget, instead of spending on the development expenditure, you end up in the spending in the consumption expenditure. This consumption expenditure is not going to help out your economy and help out your employment generation. So on expenditure side, see here, huge drain on state resources. For example, Farm loan waiver in Maharashtra resulted in outgo of how much? 45,000 to 51,000 crores during the financial year 2020-21. On single agenda, single item, how much you are spending? 45,000 to 51,000 crores. Using that money, how many hospitals you can develop? How quality roads you can lay down? You just understand that will definitely boost up the investment. But unfortunately, because of the skewed priorities of the political parties, the money is getting wasted. Lack of specific outcome targets. So suppose you are spending money, what outcome you are going to generate? There must be a clearly defined outcome. But unfortunately, because of these policies, because of these populist schemes, what is happening? The revenue loss is happening, even with respect to Telangana. Issues with freebie culture, a huge debt burden. The debt to GDP ratio. Actually, when you have to measure the health of any finance, any state finances, what is the right metric? Debt to GDP ratio is the right measurement. See here, Punjab reached 53.3% out of the GDP. So it means half of the GDP, it is amounting debt burden. Okay, it means state finances are reaching the dangerous levels. Right? It creates never-ending cycle. So once you start the populistic schemes, can you stop in middle? No party can stop it. So that is what the problem. And it will also raise the social inequalities. For example, recently Rajasthan government has taken a decision. Actually, Government of India started a policy called as NPS, New Pension Scheme. New pension scheme is nothing but contributory pension scheme. So it means government will not be giving the money out of its own funds. Rather, according to your contribution, your pension after the retirement will be, determined. But actually the state government employees are resenting and protesting against that move. So for that reason, Rajasthan government had made a provision that we are going to revert back to the old pension system instead of the new pension policy. New pension policy is nothing but contributory pension policy. It means during the period of his working, he must be contributing some amount for the pension fund. Okay, but according to the old pension policy, the government will be giving the entire funds to the, out of its own funds to the employees. Because of that reason, just 6% of the state population are actually depriving, population captures 56% of the pensions and salary expenditure. So out of every 100 rupees expenditure on pension salary, government employees and retired employees are going to draw how much? 56%. And how much these people are in proportion of the population? It is just about 6%. You are depriving how many? 94% people are being deprived. So this is what a huge social and economic cost to the government. Okay, and more expenditure towards the servicing the interest costs. For example, Andhra Pradesh spends roughly 13% of its budget on the interest payments. Year on year, what you have to do? You have to pay the interest. You have to service the debt. So that much amount you are, spending for the servicing of the debt. So these are the huge implications on freebies. That is the reason why Supreme Court Chief Justice had, argued for there must be a control on freebie policies. Okay. So, but there are certain points which are in argument, which are in favor of freebies. For example, Indian economy is an agrarian economy, even today. Why it is an agrarian economy? Because most of the people still are dependent upon the agriculture. So whenever, for example, if you want to tag Indian economy as a developed economy, what must be the economic structure? Least people must be depending upon the agriculture. Most of the people must be depending upon the industry and service sector. So this transition has to take place in the Indian economy. Especially we have experimented with this transition after the liberalization, privatization and globalization. Because by the year 1991 itself, China and South Asian countries have proved themselves as a very, very efficient manufacturers. So Indian economy could not get the opportunity to get the investments in the manufacturing sector. Rather, we could attract only investment in the service sector. So Indian economy had become service sector driven economy rather than manufacturing driven economy. What is the problem if Indian economy is service driven economy? What is the problem? This problem is with the skill, because all the people may not be having the skill. Are you following? But whereas in the manufacturing sector, it is low skill based sector. Even semi-skilled people can be employed in the manufacturing and industrial sector. But in the service sector, we need to have the skilled people. Because of that reason, only lesser number of people could make their transition from the agriculture to the service sector. And industrial sector remain underdeveloped. Because of that reason, huge unemployment is seen in India. The unemployment in India is due to the problem in the structure of the Indian economy. Okay, so in that situation, should we assist the people or not? The question arises. So then definitely government invokes Article 41, stating that there are certain cases are existing. For that reason, we are going to dole out the freebie schemes. And underemployment and low intergenerational mobility, most of India continues to live in the extreme and precarious economic conditions. Okay, especially the case of North India is very, very precarious, very, very problematic, because their huge population is there, high density population is there, heavy fertility rate is there, huge poverty is there. Because of all these reasons, definitely government is compelled to spend the money in the name of freebies. Okay, and the failure of the parties and governments to deliver development to the ordinary people. You just understand, development is a gradual process, development is a continuous process. But unfortunately, political parties are short-sighted. They wanted to win over the public with the easy and quick means. And the long-term means are not able to be fulfilled by the political parties. For that reason, they come up with the quick fixes. Okay, suppose if a party promises, I am going to transform the entire hospital setup in the India in coming 5 years, please vote for me. It definitely may not get the attention of the people, because people have started distrusting the political parties. They came to know these political parties are not able to deliver the things we want. So naturally, they are completely running after the freebie attractions. So these are the reasons for the freebies to be continued. These are arguments in favor. Okay. And central government was asked by the Supreme Court, what you are going to do? Because if these free schemes are to be continued, definitely Indian economy will be collapsed, because we will develop the situation like Sri Lanka. Okay, we should prevent that at any cost. And the central government was sought with the response. Why the central government was sought with the response? What is the reason? Reason is, central government is the agency which will control the debt of the states. If the states have to take the debt from any source, either internal agencies or external agencies, whose permission is required? Central government permission is required. Point number 1. Point number 2, we have the 2 election laws, Representation of People's Act of 1950, RPA 1951. RPA 1951 gives how the elections are conducted in the country, the very means of conducting the elections. In fact, under Article 324 of the Constitution, Election Commission has not been given any detailed powers. The powers of Election Commission are just mentioned as Election Commission is to superintend and control the elections, conduct and control the elections. So the elaborated provisions are given under the RPA 1950 and RPA 1951. So these legislations are made by which legislature? Union Parliament. RPA 1950, 1951 were made by the Union Parliament. Definitely, if anything is to be amended, who has to make the amendments? Central government has to make the amendments. For that reason, central government is sought with the response. Okay, right. So central government had suggested it is to appoint a committee which may be comprising of members of National Taxpayers Association or retired CAG. Who is CAG? CAG means Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Okay, what is his function? Yes. Who is the owner of the public purse in the country? Lok Sabha is the owner, because without the sanction of the Lok Sabha, budget cannot be implemented. The Consolidated Fund of India is under the ownership of the Lok Sabha. Who is the guardian of the public purse? Watchdog of the public purse? CAG. Okay, that is the reason why CAG comes to know, CAG has the enough knowledge regarding how the public finances are organized and how they are managed. Union Finance Secretary, Finance Secretaries of states, all the states, representative from every recognized national political parties, chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. What is Finance Commission? What is Finance Commission? It is a constitutional body which recommends the distribution of the funds between central government to the state government. Okay, because actually, constitutionally speaking, central government is more resourceful compared to the states. But as far as the responsibilities are concerned, states are having many responsibilities with the lesser amount of the resources. Definitely, this gap must be fulfilled. That is the reason why Finance Commission recommends the transfer of the funds between the center to the states. Hence, we call Finance Commission is a symbol of fiscal federalism in the country. Are you following? Right. So, and RBI representative, because it is a bank which manages the finance of the central and state funds. And Niti Aayog, representatives nominated by the Chief Election Commissioner, FICCI, the business agencies, etc. So in this way, this committee is going to decide what schemes must be permitted, what schemes must not be permitted, what are the free schemes, what are the essential schemes. Okay. Next important topic is electoral bonds. Electoral bonds. So context is the donations to political parties through electoral bonds have crossed how much? 10,000 crore mark. 10,000 crore. Right. What are the electoral bonds? Electoral bonds means these are the financial instruments for making donation to the political parties. After NDA government came into power, okay, it has introduced the electoral bond scheme. Okay, so electoral bonds are purchased anonymously by donors and are valid for 15 days from the date of the issue. So it means the bonds will be, issued by the State Bank of India, SBI, and you have to purchase those bonds. When you purchase those bonds, the money that is given to the SBI, that will be transferred to the concerned political party. Okay, and the name of the donor will be kept anonymous. The name of the donor will not be given to any public, so that will be completely anonymous. Okay, so such bonds are called as electoral bonds. So electoral bonds are issued in multiples of 1,000, 10,000 and 1 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, 1 crore without any maximum limit. There is no maximum limit. Simply the person has to purchase the bonds from the State Bank of India, and this money will be going to the concerned political party. Okay, and no public, no person will be known with the facts what amount it has been donated, to which party he has donated. Everything is put as a secret. But you just understand, in a democracy, whether the secrecy and the democracy can go hand in hand, can go together. No, democracy means transparency. Democracy means accountability. Democracy means the people must be able to judge the political parties on the basis of their acts. But unfortunately, you are not disclosing everything. You are actually safeguarding certain information. You are encouraging the secrecy in the place of transparency. Because this kind of anonymous donations will definitely hurt the very interest of the democracy. And one more important point, here you understand, the political party which receives the fund does not disclose. The person who has donated the money does not disclose. Suppose the so-called political party comes into power. What does it do? It will definitely do something in favor of the person who has donated. Suppose you come to know a particular political party has been heavily donated by a particular business house. What do? You will definitely look at the political party with a suspicion. Why this corporate is donating that much amount to that particular political party? Then you will come to know, yes, this particular corporate is having certain allegations in certain sectors. Now, if that party comes into power, definitely they will be able to get support. So then what you would do? You will not vote to that particular political party. It means if the information is not given, definitely your choice is being restricted. You will become choiceless. So such kind of situation is definitely hurting the interests of the democracy. So this is what called, electoral bond. So electoral bonds are issued in the months of January, April, July and October. You must understand these are the essential facts the UPSC may ask. Because the preliminary examination day to day becoming so much factual. So they don't ask the conceptual things right away. Okay, they will be trying to test your factual knowledge also. Suppose they may ask you, the electoral bonds are issued in the following months of January. See, consider the following statements regarding the electoral bonds. One of the statement may be given in the question like the electoral bonds are issued only in the month of January, April, July and October. True or false? True. So in that way, that specific facts must be remembered by the aspirants. And who will be eligible to get the electoral bonds? Okay, only the political parties which are registered under section 29A of RPA. So only registered political parties are having the right to receive the funds. Okay, right. So and they must have secured not less than 1% of the votes polled in the last general election. This is what the criteria to make the political parties eligible to receive the funds. Are you able to understand? Yes. Coming to arguments against electoral bonds. See here, this is a corporation has donated the money to a particular political party through the bank. So here the bank is State Bank of India. It is a nodal bank. Okay. And what the person can do, the person who has purchased the bonds, he can sell the bond to the other buyers also. Okay. And even the bank the bank will be giving the, bank will also be able to, put the bonds for the auction, and people may be buying that. And one more important thing, no cap on the net profit. So you can spend anything, any amount, whatever the corporate decides. And no tracking of the sale of the bonds. How many bonds have been sold? There is no tracking. And public does not know. Only bank knows, and financial ministry knows, and ruling party knows. Okay, simply understand, if somebody wants to invest in the electoral bond, to whom he will be directing the money, whether to Congress party or BJP? BJP. Why? Because government is in power is BJP. Institutions and agencies are under whose control? BJP. So definitely these are creating very much lesser incentive for the industrial houses to donate to the opposition parties. So it means one party is getting huge and disproportionate benefit out of these electoral bonds. Right. So these are the issues with respect to electoral bonds. And third current affair we are going to discuss is NASA's finding with respect to the mangroves. Okay. Recently, NASA has highlighted the loss of mangrove cover in the Kachal Island as a part of the India's Andaman Nicobar's archipelago. Okay. So in this place, the mangrove cover is lost according to the NASA's finding. Right. So first of all, what are mangroves? Mangroves means, mangroves are nothing but these are the saline plants. These generally grow in the salt water. Actually, water can be classified into three types. Okay, fresh water, saline water, and brackish water. Fresh water means whose salinity is less than 5 parts per thousand. That is called as fresh water. If the salinity of the water, that is the salt content of the water, between 5 parts per thousand to how much? 35 parts per thousand, that water is called as brackish water. What is that water? Brackish water. Okay, if the salt concentration is more than 35 parts per thousand, that is called as saline water. So where do the mangroves grow? Mangroves usually grow in the salt water. Okay, right. And moreover, usually these mangroves prefer brackish water. Okay, brackish water is also called as estuarine system. What is that called? Estuary. What is the estuary? Estuary is a place where the river water merges with the salt water, saline water. That place is preferable for the mangroves because it is a place you can get the salt concentration in this particular range. And one more important thing, these mangroves will be growing on the water where half of the tree will be submerged and the remaining part of the tree is exposed to the sunlight. Okay, so these will be growing in a form of a swamp, a group of trees growing in a particular place in a dense manner. Okay, right. So usually the river mouths are preferred. The mouths, river mouths are preferred places for the mangroves to grow. Right. So why mangroves are important? What is the importance of the mangroves? Mangroves are important ecologically because these plants will support huge aquatic life. And mangroves will be creating a specific condition called as anoxic conditions. What is that? Anoxic conditions. Anoxic conditions means lack of oxygen in the water. This particular situation, this particular condition will define a specific aquatic life to grow in that particular area. And very good amount of nutrient recycling will be taking place. Okay, right. And one more important thing, these mangroves will be helping to fight what is that? Tsunami, to give the protection against the tsunami. Because if the ocean water, it actually takes inside, it comes inside over the land, definitely that will be resisted by the mangroves. Okay, so influx of the sea water will be prevented by the mangroves. It will be covering, it will be giving a protective cover to the land against the erosion. Usually what will happen? The ocean water is coming onto the land, what will happen? The land will be eroded, there will be erosion of land. So that will be prevented by the mangroves. Right. So this mangrove cover is very, very important. So according to the NASA study, extent to which mangroves had been lost globally over the past two decades, according to the NASA's Earth Observatory showed a map of the island on August 8, 2022, shot from the satellite. It depicted tidal wetland loss from 1999. So it means since the year 1999, the loss is taking place. Okay. So this is what the finding of the NASA. So mangrove showed an estimated net decrease of how much? 3,700 square kilometers between 1999 to 2019 in this particular decade. A net loss of tidal wetlands on deltas globally, how much? The gains of 2,100 square kilometer alongside the losses of 2,300 square kilometers. The gain is how much? 2,300, and loss is how much? 2,100. Right. So, but it is not the same case with the India. But according to the India's State of Forest report, the mangrove cover has been increased in the country. The mangrove cover has been increased in the country. It means globally there might be loss of mangroves, but domestically within the country has increased by 54 square kilometers in comparison to the 2017 assessment. Because government of India had recognized the mangroves are the important places after the tsunami of 2004. And it has started taking care of the mangrove forest in India. This has resulted in the gradual increase in the cover of the mangroves in the country. Right. So it means global experience is there is a decline in the mangrove cover. But in the India's experience is increment in the mangrove cover. Okay. So in the preliminary examination, the question can be framed this way. Okay. Which of the following is the right statement regarding the mangroves? Statement number 1. According to the NASA study, okay, the global mangrove cover has increased, but India's mangrove cover has been decreased. Tell me, is it right statement? No. Okay, so that thing you must remember. It means according to the India, mangrove cover has increased in the country, but according to the NASA, global mangrove cover has been decreased. So such kind of points will be asked in the examination. Okay, right. So what is the causes? Why the wetlands are changing? Because mangroves actually grow in the wetlands only. What are the wetlands? Wetlands are nothing but these are the shallow water bodies which are not having the heavy depth. Okay, these are the shallow water bodies, and these will be having the water throughout the year. So these will be having a specific kind of aquatic species. Okay. So why the wetlands are changing? Because of the anthropogenic activities, sea level rise, shoreline erosion, storms, altered sediment flow. What are the sediments? Actually, river water carries the sediments to the wetlands. So when the sediments are carried with the excessive amounts, definitely that may be causing the change in the wetlands. And subsidence. Subsidence means because of the ocean floor movements. Definitely some wetlands may be losing their existence. Okay. So these are the causes of the wetland. So most important activities are anthropogenic activities. Okay. Wetlands include various types of bodies, not only saline wetlands, but also aquatic wetlands also, ponds, lakes. They also to be called as wetlands. So coming to the distribution of mangroves in the country, where they are distributed, you just see here. Wherever the river mouth is there, wherever the river is merging into the ocean or sea, so there you can find the mangroves. So Sundarban mangroves, these actually cover 42% of the Indian mangroves. It is the most important mangrove cover in the country. Okay. Next it comes Gujarat. Gujarat is positioned at the second place. Okay. Right. So in Andhra Pradesh also there is a mangrove site called as Koringa. Okay. So these are the places where you can find the mangroves. So Asia has the largest coverage of the world's mangroves, followed by the Africa, North and Central America. Okay. Approximately 75% of the mangrove forests are found in just 15 countries. Why these are found in just 15 countries? Basically, mangroves cover only in the tropical regions, not in the temperate regions. They generally grow in the warmer areas of the world. That is the reason why 75% of the world's mangrove forests are found in the 15 countries only. Next important thing is Smile 75 initiative. Smile 75 initiative. What is Smile? Support for marginalized individuals for livelihood and enterprise. So this particular support 75, Smile 75 is implemented to reduce the beggary in the country. Especially in the urban areas, the begging became very, very problematic thing. So for that reason, you have to reduce the begging in the country. So under Smile 75 initiative, 75 identified municipal corporations, especially municipal corporations are chosen, and in the spirit of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of independence. This is the eve. For that reason, this Smile 75 has been implemented. You just understand, when we can proudly claim as independent country? When can we claim? what is a real barometer to measure the success of the country? Only when we are liberated from the poverty. If you are not liberated from the poverty, it is not a true independence. Gandhiji identified two things in the country. One is internal enemy, second one is the external enemy. External enemy, who is the external enemy? British government was the external enemy. Internal enemy was the problem with respect to caste, problem with respect to religion, hunger, malnutrition, poverty. These are all the internal enemies that are making the India to suffer. So that's the reason why this Smile 75 project tries to ensure the elimination of the begging and the rehabilitation of the beggars in the country. Okay, right. So the municipal corporation will cover several comprehensive welfare measures for the persons who are engaged in the act of begging. Okay, so whenever Trump had visited Hyderabad, what happened? Trump visited India. All the beggars were taken to certain isolated place and they were stationed there. So we are concealing the begging in front of the developed nations, but it is not the right approach. You have to eliminate the beggary, not the beggars. Okay, so that must be the right attitude. So aim is to address the persisting problem of destitution and beggary. Okay, and what is the ministry? Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So this is the central government mediated action plan, and it is being implemented in municipal corporation areas. Okay, so objectives include making our cities and towns begging free, making a strategy for comprehensive rehabilitation. Rehabilitation means you must give them alternative source of livelihood so that they will not revert back to the activity of the begging. And Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and understands the importance of local governments and civil society organizations. Local governments and civil society organizations in the elimination of the begging. Are you able to understand? You just see the approach. What the government is doing, it is involving the urban local bodies and civil society organizations. For what reason? To remove the beggary in the country. So it means you just understand the approach. Government, instead of acting upon the problem, it is roping in the service of the civil society also. What does the civil society mean? Civil society means it is a loose term which defines the association of NGOs, trusts, charities, private sector, okay, and also non-governmental organizations, everything as a part of the civil society. Okay, it is a loosely defined term. So any agency that functions outside the government, that is nothing but civil society. You are roping the civil society in the service delivery functions. It means you can say the governance is getting the nature of networked governance. What is that governance? Networked governance. Networked governance means government, instead of delivering the things as it is by itself, it is taking the help of certain other actors in the society who are having the like-mindedness. For example, in Telangana, especially you take the GHMC, 5 rupees meal program is being implemented. Who implements that program? Akshay Patra Foundation. So government is giving the money to a particular charity-based organization and which is spending the money for this particular scheme. So previously, what we were thinking, only bureaucracy will be able to implement the schemes. Now what is the government doing? It is even roping in the civil society organizations to implement the schemes. So now the parameter to spend the money is not the authority, not the position, but the commitment, the dedication is the matter. So hence, government started recognizing even non-governmental organization, not only this scheme, but also many schemes, especially with respect to the rural development, self-help groups. So in all these areas, the civil society services are tapped by the government. And UK-India Free Trade Agreement. So India and UK have concluded 5th round of talks for the India-UK Free Trade Agreement. What is that? Free Trade Agreement. Okay, right. So tell me, what is the meaning of globalization? Globalization means there must not be barriers between the India and the world or a particular country with respect to the world. It is nothing but barrier-free world. Okay, there must not be barrier for the import and export of the goods, import and export of services, and also the people, anything, whatever it is. Even the people must be allowed to move freely between the countries without any extensive restrictions. That is nothing but globalization. Okay, You are transforming the entire world as a single village. So that is what the globalization. Right. In the dimension of globalization, in the direction of globalization, every country will try to ensure a free trade agreement. What is that? Free trade agreement. What is the meaning of free trade agreement? It means it is a barrier-free trade between two countries. What is that? Free trade between two countries is nothing but free trade agreement. Right. So you just understand India is a major trading partner with the UK. And especially you see the strengths of the respective economies. India is the fifth largest economy. Population is how much? 1.37 billion, 7.17 trillion GDP. Agriculture and industry represent higher proportion of the Indian economy than the UK's. This is what the strength of Indian economy. And UK's economy, sixth largest economy, very, very low population, 66.8 million, 2.5 trillions of GDP, and services are larger proportion of the UK's economy. You just understand. These two countries are having the matching needs. These two countries are having the matching needs. UK needs the Indian market. India needs UK's market with respect to low amount of the agriculture economy. So definitely those things can be better matched with each other. And India is importing these things from the UK. What are the things which are imported? Mechanical machinery, clothing, refined oil, financial, this is the investment, and travel and other business and services. These are the major importing items. And coming to the UK from India, metal and ore scrap, mechanical and machinery, non-ferrous metals, other business services, intellectual property, travel. These are the things. Okay. So India is strong in these aspects, especially in the mining and other aspects, which are being used for the satisfying the UK's requirement, and UK is satisfying the Indian requirements in this way. So coming to the different types of trade agreements, okay, one is preferential trade agreement, free trade agreement, comprehensive economic cooperation agreement, customs union, common market and economic market. It means countries generally progress from PTA till the economic market. This is the highest level in the free world. So if you want to measure the level of globalization in the country, this is what the measure. What is that? Economic market. This is the highest degree of globalization. With the highest degree of globalization, you can reach the level of economic market. At the lowest level of liberalization, you can see the preferential trade agreement. Okay, are you able to understand? If two countries are sharing PTA, what does it mean? They are having huge restriction with respect to the imports and exports. When the countries are sharing the economic market, what does it mean? They are having the free flow between the two countries. So right, what is PTA? PTA means, okay, there will be two types of subjects of imports and exports between two countries. One in the name of negative list and positive list. Actually, in the case of PTA, only positive list will be there. Positive list means what are the areas where the countries must not be taxing mutually. There will be only limited subjects on which both countries will not be taxing each other. Suppose India wants to include certain products which it is importing to some other country. Okay, the strong points may be found in the PTA and other points will be missing in the PTA. And only few subjects will be getting the protection under the preferential trade agreement. But in the case of FTA, free trade agreement, what is mentioned? Negative list is mentioned. Negative list means those are the items which will not be given exemptions under the FTA, but remaining all the items will be enjoying the free trade. So it means which is good deal between two countries, PTA or FTA? FTA, because FTA will be mentioning only negative list. Negative list means it will be limited in number and positive things will be unlimited in number. Excluding certain things, in all the other matters, both countries will be enjoying the easy access to the imports and exports. But in the case of PTA, only positive list is mentioned. Other than this positive list, all the matters will be coming under the import and export taxes. So countries are free to impose the taxes on the import and exports. So positive list means on those subjects, the countries are not imposing the taxes. Remaining all the subjects, the countries are imposing the taxes. Okay, unfairly or non-uniformly. But in the case of FTA, there will be a list called as negative list on which the countries will be imposing the taxes. On remaining subjects, the taxation will be very, very simple. So coming to the SECA, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. What does it talk about? It talks about not only the free trade of goods and services, along with the goods and services, even the matters of the investment, and not only that, IPR, okay, intellectual property rights, okay. So these will also be allowed between the two countries without any barriers. So it means as you go from the PTA to the economic market, the barriers between the two countries will be decreasing. And next one is customs union. Customs union means it will be having the uniform structure of the import and export duties. For example, you take European Union. The countries in the European Union will be imposing the uniform amount of the import and export duties on the importing items and exporting items, so that the trade between two countries will be very, very free, barrier free. So barrier free trade will be happening in the customs union. And common market, so it is the higher degree of the globalization and liberalization, because in the common market what will happen, not only the taxes will be uniform taxation, but also the factors of production, for example labor and investment, capital, technology, all this will be freely moved between country to the country. Okay. And the last one is the economic market. Economic market means all the countries will be having one currency. So when one currency is there, definitely all the markets are completely integrated. You just understand what is that happening from the PTA till the economic market. What is happening? The degree of liberalization is happening. It is becoming more barrier free, and the economy is becoming more and more open and free. Okay, India is at the level of what level? FTA with UK. So India is negotiating FTA with the UK. Are you able to understand? Yes. So areas of cooperation. UK is the fourth largest investor for the Indian economy. Fourth largest investor, and the first largest investor is Mauritius. So more FDIs are coming from Mauritius. And India continued to be third largest investor in the UK. And it is a net job creator, because Indian companies are providing the jobs over 1,10,000 jobs in the UK. So both are having the mutual interests. And defense. The notable defense imports from the UK include 123 Hawk advanced jet trainer aircrafts from the defense company, that is BAE Systems. Actually, India imports heavily from the Russia. UK aspires to become another Russia for India. This is what the aspiration of UK, because Indian defense needs are very, very unlimited, because we are surrounded by many enemies. Our neighborhood is very much hostile, very much uncertain. So definitely we need to have strong defense system. So it is being provided by the Russia, and huge competition is between Russia and other Western countries. Right. So these are the common military exercises we generally perform. Ajay Warrior, army to army, biennial exercise. For every 2 years, this Ajay Warrior will be conducted. Usually, this kind of questions may also come in the examination. Okay. Whenever any international relationship we generally find, we must study the every dimension of the relationship between the two countries. Then it will become easy to remember the things. And Konkan exercise, joint Navy to Navy annual exercise. Indradhanush, joint air to air exercise, which happened between India and UK. So these are the military exercises that take place. Next, fifth one, novel Langia Henipa virus. See, we are the net exporters of the medicine to the world, but China is a net exporter of the viruses to the world. So virus after the virus, they are manufacturing and they are sending to the world. So this is another kind of virus, but a very, very fortunate thing is, this is a zoonotic virus. What is that virus? Zoonotic virus. COVID virus is a respiratory virus. It has a faster rate of transmission. But this virus is zoonotic virus, and it generally transmitted through shrew. These are the animals. These are the rat-like species. These are called as shrews. Okay, from shrews it will be spread. It was identified and isolated from the throat swab sample of those patients. The disease may have been transmitted from shrews, which are small insectivorous mammals resembling a mouse. Okay, these are mouse-like animals. This will be spreading the virus. And what are the symptoms? The symptoms are not completely identifiable symptoms. It varies from patient to patient. In most of the cases, the fatigue means the sense of tiredness is seen in the patient. So, and moreover, the patients are identified with the abnormalities of thrombocytopenia. So, it means it is the lysis of blood cells. Blood cell lysis is seen, leukopenia, and the impaired function of the liver and kidney also seen. Okay, these are the symptoms. Okay, UPSC may ask, what are the associated symptoms also? If at all it asks about this particular virus. Next another thing is him-drone Ethone program. Him-drone Ethone program. So actually this is a kind of initiative between the Indian Army and Indian domestic UAV manufacturers. Because in India, we have the private sector which manufactures the drones in the country. So Indian Army wants to get an alliance with the domestic manufacturers and wanted to satisfy the defense requirements. Nowadays, you are able to observe the wars are becoming too much mechanical. The human element is limited and machine involvement is very much increased. You might have seen Ukraine and Russia war. Who is involved more? The technology involved more. If the technology is not properly developed, we will definitely be in the very inferior position. So that is the reason why the UAVs must be properly developed. So hence, this initiative in line with self-reliance in the defense manufacturing. So Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay. So it aimed at providing opportunities to the Indian drone ecosystem to develop path-breaking drone capabilities for meeting the requirements of the frontline troops. So those troops which are actually engaging with the war, they must be having the assistance from the drones. So for that reason, so these are being manufactured under the scheme called Him-Drone Ethone program. And this is in the first phase, drones will be developed for the use in the army operations in the Himalayas. So in the Himalayan region, so the drones will be deployed. For that reason, this project tries to address that requirement. So India's drone arsenal, presently India is having these drones. Okay, Herons imported from Israel, Predator drones from USA, Sea Guardian from USA, Firefly loitering munition from the Israel, Harpy and Harop loitering munition from Israel, Rustom from India itself, Cat Warrior, this is also manufactured by the India. So they may ask you in the examination, which of the following UAVs have been manufactured by the India? Okay, so that kind of question may come. So definitely you have to remember what is a drone, from which country it has been imported. So some factual points must be remembered. There is no other option. So definitely you are required to remember. Okay. So where do you apply the drone technology? Definitely in the defense, because in the defense, especially the drones for the combating, especially if you are trying to give the support to the army by means of arms and ammunition and food. So if you use the general troop carriers, definitely you will be at the disadvantaged position. If you use the drones, it will be very much easy and very simple. Healthcare delivery purposes. Actually, Telangana government has applied for using the drone technology to deliver the vaccines in the remote areas. Okay, the central government has approved that. You can understand, previously the vaccine transport to the nooks and corners of the country became very, very difficult because of lack of the infrastructural facilities. Moreover, certain vaccines are very, very sensitive to the temperature. So those vaccines must be easily to be transported to the remote areas. That is feasible by these particular drones. Agriculture. In the agriculture also, the technology is becoming very much handy. We are making agriculture as e-agriculture. Okay, technology-driven agriculture and smart agriculture. In the smart agriculture project, drones play an important role in the application of the micronutrients and pesticides over the crops. And there is another scheme called as Swamitva scheme, so which is launched by the government of India, which has helped half the village residents to get their property cards. So using the drones, you can map the area. The land surveying is done by the drones. Drones can be used for the real-time surveillance of the assets and transmission lines, especially for the maintenance of the construction as well as the electricity projects. Okay, and they can be used for anti-poaching. So in the environmental issues also, especially in the conservation of the forest resources and wildlife resources also, you can use the drone technology. Law enforcement, for the law enforcement agencies also. So wherever the places which are not safe for the passage, those areas can be used by the drones. Recently, the police are using the drones for surveilling, having the surveillance over the public places. So wherever open, crime is happening, so those areas can be better monitored by the law enforcement agencies. Seventh one is centralized public grievance redressal and monitoring system, that is called CPGRAMS. Centralized public grievance redressal and monitoring system. So government is trying to work on a project to develop technology solution. Usually in India, there is huge revolution of the social media. Social media revolution has taken place in the country because everybody is a subscriber to the social media. Definitely it is easy to get the inputs from the social media regarding the non-working or inefficient working of the government. Wherever the government is not working, that can be better monitored using the social media. So why can't you source the news, source the inputs from the social media to address the problems the people are suffering from? So instead of just acting on the complaints, usually how the public authorities would act, you have to give a complaint for your problem, then public officer has to respond. That is nothing but reactive administration. Administration is reacting. But what kind of administration we require? Proactive administration. Because good governance requires proactive administration and people-friendly administration and citizen-friendly administration. So that is possible using this particular CPGRAMS when it sources the complaints from the social media itself and acts upon itself without any petition, without any complaint. So that kind of technological feasibility is being examined by the central government. Okay, this particular CPGRAM, that is centralized public grievance redressal and monitoring system, that is under the control of the Department of Administrative Reforms. Department of Administrative Reforms. Okay, Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievance is the nodal ministry for the CPGRAMs. So this can be a preliminary question also. Which of the following statement is true regarding CPGRAMs? Statement number 1, 2, 3. That kind of question may come. Right. So it is a single portal connected to all the ministries, departments, and government of India as well as states. Even state-related complaints can also be entertained by the centralized public grievance redressal system. So that is by the central government. Okay. So and moreover, what do? Once they receive the complaint, they will redirect the complaint to the concerned authority. Suppose if I give a complaint on the state police, what do the central government do? It will direct the complaint to the concerned state government department. In that way, so the CPGRAMs will be functioning. And it is also accessible to the citizen through the mobile applications, which are downloadable through the Google Play. So that particular application is called as Umang. What is that? Umang. It is an app which will be helping you to have an access to the CPGRAM. And it will also be tracking the status. The status of the grievance will also be filed, will also be monitored. So that is also important. So it means administration is becoming real-time governance. What is that? Real-time governance. What is a real-time governance? It means you are able to track up to what level the things have been completed. What is the status of my complaint? At what stage it is in pending? Suppose if I am able to trace the status of my complaint, what will happen? Easily I can get the redressal. I can go to the concerned officer, I can get redressal of that particular problem. So this is what the advantages of the this is particular CPGRAM. Disadvantage means this is an advantageous app, but the major shortfall might be if it is entertaining the state government related disputes, that may become a problem of federalism. In federalism, this is all a secured channel between the citizens and government. Whatever the citizens complain, definitely that will be reaching the government without any change. So it is not a kind of Facebook or WhatsApp. It is a kind of a secured channel between the government and people. Okay, right. So let us stop at this point. And in the next class, we will be going to discuss the remaining current affairs. I told you already, I promised you, whatever is unfinished, that will be carried forward, and let us come up with all the relevant current affairs of the next week. Okay, right. Yes, it will be sent. It will be forwarded. Okay, so this current affairs will be discussed in the next class. Did you understand?